Welcome back, everybody. Getting into game number one. University of Kansas and UC Santa Cruz both fighting for a big position here in the gauntlet phase. Kansas wins this, they take second seed, and UC Santa Cruz drops to fourth seed. But if UC Santa Cruz wins, they get second, and Kansas drops down to third seed.
I'm not sure how the math works on that one, but if you're telling me it's correct, I'm going to believe you. So obviously playing for a lot on the line here. You know, both teams really want to win and set the tone in this first game.
Well, it comes down to UC Santa Cruz had a technical loss to Northern Arizona Blue, who is the other team up into the gauntlet phase right now. So because of their head-to-head matchup, it would be in favor of Northern Arizona. That's why they'd get the third seed for that one.
That makes a lot of sense. Hopefully, this team can just straight outright win it, and they don't have to worry about falling down. But unfortunately, both teams can't get second place, so good luck to both, I guess.
Sorry, we don't give out participation ribbons for the gauntlet. We only go for the big boys here in Kansas. They're going to try and steal away this blue buff, keep that one off of Uki, but, you know, probably the second best warrior to not have to worry about a blue buff is Chalk.
Yeah, Chuck's passive gives him a free ability every 5 auto attacks, so he can just play it safe, back up, not worry too much, use that free mana, so he's in a good position. He does lose his blue buff, which I'm sure he's disappointed about, but his team is going to get some pressure elsewhere on the map for it.
Well, it looked like they were trying to go for mid here, but more than anything, they've kind of left Hop in here just to free farm for himself. Try and get that Ho Yi early and running for the team, but ones that we're going to be looking at here is UC Santa Cruz. They've drafted a fairly well-rounded comp as far as covering the early, the mid, and the late game, especially when it comes to Habwa late game.
Yeah, that Habwa late game is so devastating. You know, the joke is always that he has 3 ultimates because he hits so hard. And, you know, especially with a Willix, if he knocks someone up, a Willix pulls in, you know, that's a target directly in front of you that you can put all your damage into. And he will definitely do damage.
Look, let's be real, that water carpet is an ult of its own. That thing at max rank slows for 50% if you're stuck on it. That is disgusting. And they're looking to get some damage over into the solo lane. Uki going to take a bit from the bird bomb and flail from Conceded Code, but he's going to be able to heal back up. He is a Chalk. He's got that self-sustain.
Yeah, and, you know, this is frustrating as a solo laner to, you know, have these two people in here taking all your farm, taking all your jungle buffs, but you know, you just have to deal with it and hope that your team can make the difference elsewhere.
Well, they're doing the similar strats that we've seen from a lot of lower level teams and even from some of the upper levels at this point, where they really want to try and farm out this solo lane. They want to try and get them behind. Conceded Code, however, he's now level 5, staring down 2 level 4s. He's going to be able to get out no problem, but a lot of prioritization and trying to shut down this solo lane.
Yeah, and the thing is, with a Chalk, you can sort of shut him down because he doesn't do so much into the late game, but Chalk can clear and be fine and not really worry, so as long as he's okay with, you know, never really having much of an impact, which is unfortunate, but it will be best for his team, and being a team-first player is important.
Very aggressive on this Odin's Cactus. He's taking those bird bombs every opportunity he gets a chance to. Puts a little poke into Raihez, who we all love him for that name, Raihez Best. Just a great one. And also, Butter My Matthew. Can we talk about how great that name is?
These are the type of names that I at least appreciate. I can pronounce them. I appreciate you for making a name that I can say.
Oh, the double ricochet from Hoppin. Airstrike, just barely getting Butter My Matthew out of danger, but Hoppin with a cute little ricochet bounce.
Yeah, that was definitely a nice ricochet there, and so luckily he gets out. Now Lyris is in a bit of trouble there, taking that crush, taking that hammer, so getting damaged, taking some health, getting chunked.
Well, the benefit of the Jing Wave for Butter My Matthews, he can go back to base, and well, he can fly right back to the tier 1 tower, fly right to the mid camps if he so wishes, because well, Jing Wei loves flying. That's exactly what he's gonna do.
Yeah, and there's a Conceded Code over in the right lane there. Just waiting, sitting there, him and Uki both staring at Uki's blue buff. So luckily, Uki did get to secure his own buff, so he's going to really be appreciative of having that blue buff for the next couple minutes.
Solo laner getting blue buff is almost as great as their jungler getting speed buff. It's just like, guys, I have my blue. I can stay in lane longer.
Yeah, and having more abilities is going to allow him to poke and clear, and as well as with Chalk have that heal up, so he's definitely going to be happy about that one.
Well, over onto the left-hand side, going to start up the Oracle Harpies for UC Santa Cruz, and well, they'll be able to drop that one no problem. No contention from Kansas onto that, and it looked like mid-camp was more their priority, but I don't think they got either of those either.
Yeah, and this game is definitely starting real slow. There's about 100 gold lead going the way of Santa Cruz, and that means nothing. That's a wave or a buff camp. So really, just both teams feeling it out, waiting for someone to make a mistake, and that's not a bad thing to do if you're not really sure how this other team plays.
Well, especially with how much is on the line. I mean, we saw this in Challenger Circuit where games were going 10, 15 minutes before blood was spilled because this means a lot to both of these teams. This is the difference between playing round one and getting to wait an extra set. That's potentially 2 or 3 less games you have to play. And fatigue always starts coming in big in Gauntlet, so they're fighting just to have the slight advantage of being able to skip out on a set.
Yeah, and upsets do happen. Sometimes you run into a team where you might be the better team, but for some reason you play poorly or they just match up well against you and you fall. And every year and every single thing we see that. And, not having a game in that first round is going to be very helpful so that it's one less game that you potentially could lose on.
And when you think that at the same time, it could be beneficial to have that first set of games. You get the warm-ups going through, you kind of get the first round jitters out of the way, and might prove fruitful for you. But into the right-hand side, we're just seeing a lot of boxing between the solo layers. Conceded Code's now getting the better end, going to throw his show. Caxton making the rotation. The Lord of the Afterlife not going to connect. The Bird Bomb, however, will be good. But all the while, because of the rotation to solo, UC Santa Cruz, they pick up the Gold Fury.
Yeah, and that's a very good trade there to be aware of where those people were. Santa Cruz does lose their solo laner, and now Kansas is going to lose their mid laner. So really, just a great trade for Santa Cruz.
A little questionable from Prezified. He got knocked up by the Habwa, and as soon as the Wheelish ult came out, he didn't elect to use his beads, and so Marcio gets the free pull in, immediately followed by the crushing wave, and it's more than enough damage to take down a Scylla at this stage.
Yeah, exactly. And Silly, really wants to get into that late game where she can do the damage. This is now behind 2 levels. Is going to be a lot longer before she can get there. And Hebo definitely a god that plays well from ahead.
Well, looking at his second item here, might be going into a big stacking with the Warlock Sash. He's picked up that uncommon very early on. Again, another blue buff invade as well as a speed buff invade to it. Jumping in is Caxatom, only going to occasion a Marcio, who's going to get the Phantom Pop from Raihez. So the cage is down, and they get the Phantom for it.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. I don't think they needed the Phantom there, but it's better safe than sorry. Get a Marcio out of there, you can go back to base, and maybe get back in time for this fight because of Suku.
Oh, Caxton gets caught out, has to use his beads to get out from the damage of Lyris. Raihez threw down the cage as well to try and keep him in, but looking for Caxton, had that jump, able to get away, and, well, the scoreboard still reads 1-1 for the 2 teams until the solo kill from the Hunters, and Uki's rotation gets down Caxton. Prezified, crushed down by the ultimate from Lyris. The wave just doing too much to the poor Scylla, and now 4-1. UC Santa Cruz leads.
You were right. It was 1-1, and then all of a sudden, Santa Cruz just put the gas pedal down and got 3 kills right there, spreading them out. Everyone's, getting part of this except for Ganesh, and I'm sure he's very happy that he hasn't accidentally stolen someone's kill. So really, at this point, Santa Cruz there just randomly sort of spiked up, got a few kills, and now has a 1,500 gold lead.
And not only that, a big win for Buttermy Matthew. He got the solo kill onto Hoppin. Got him at almost, I think it was right in between the red and the purple buff. He snagged him up, and because of that, has enough gold to finish his Devourer's Gauntlet so he can start getting those stacks online early. And he's already winning the trades. Now he's going to have the extra sustain to win those trades.
Yeah, that is the punishing aspect of the MOBA. You're already ahead, you get a kill, and now you're even more ahead. So it's one of those things of playing from behind is a very important skill to have, and it's a very difficult thing to do.
Right-hand side, they want to Marcio. Conceded Code really wants him, jumps in with the ult, but they're not going to fully commit onto it. They're just going to get the Lord of the Afterlife, not even wasting a relic for the side of Mesa. Another horrific emblem, it looks like, from Uki.
Yeah, Uki just popped that horrific emblem just to completely shut down Conceited Code's aggression. You know, with that slow, he can't really look to chase. He can't stick to someone. So a good job there just to really help his jungler out. You know, losing a Marcio in that situation is not worth having a horrific emblem. So just playing it safe.
Well, UC Santa Cruz wanting to play it slow as well, try and get something going for themselves, but the later the game goes, the more powerful that Hobwalk gets, and the joke of the 3 ultimates really does ring true in that late game. The scaling so high on his other abilities that you get hit by 1, that's 800 damage. Get by 2, well, that's a goodbye.
Yeah, and you know what? With that knockup, it does go really well, combos really well into his other abilities. So if you get close to him, he can absolutely obliterate you. Just something to always keep in mind when you get near him.
Especially if you don't have any kind of purification beats to get away from the wheelish pull, which Amarcio likely just going to be sticking right next to Lyris the entire time. If you get pulled in, that's a crushing wave to follow through. And you thought water hands hurt. You're gonna feel the power of the wave.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something that you always have to be in mind of. And I wouldn't be surprised to see people go into a little bit of magical protections earlier than normal just to get away from it.
Well, left side, Butterman Matthew throwing out the damage into Hoppin. Auto attack's doing quite a bit for him. Doesn't have that crit with it yet. Needs the explosive bolts. 1, 2, third shot not going to hit. Hoppin is going to have to go back to the side of his tower. But Caxstomp not going to let that one go through. Bird Bomb in, but silenced out by Raihez. Make sure that damage doesn't connect onto his Hunter.
Yeah, and Uki, because of that, is able to go over there and proxy a wave. So Uki really, at this point, getting, he played even, which is what he needed to do, and now he's making a little bit of aggression.
That's actually a cute little sidestep from him to make sure to take the hammer from Petruzzi so he couldn't steal away the blue buff from them. Make sure that that one goes over to UC Santa Cruz. And even with the 4 kills, they've been starting to slowly build their lead up. About 3,600 experience, 2,000 gold going over to Santa Cruz.
Yeah, that's a real team player, like you said, taking that hammer, and he's really sacrificed his own aggression. I mean, he has a level up at this point, but he's really played it just silent and just allowing his team to work and not worry about him. He hasn't asked for a gank or anything, so give him the props where he's due. He's really sacrificed for the team this game.
Yeah, no, Marcio, he's just trying to get himself some farm. Picked up that Hydra's Lament second item. Going to provide a little bit of extra power for him, that extra damage right after using an ability. And Raihez going to get caught up by Petruzzi, but Marcio's there just to make sure. And left side again, the Hunters, they're just trying to duke it out with each other.
Yeah, and that's the Hunter thing. Hunters always want a 1v1. When the supports show up, they're almost mad at them because it takes away their time from the 1v1. So, but you need someone to help you get a kill sometimes.
Petruzzi going to go throw out the hammer. Ricochet just shy of hitting Raihez there, so he's going to get away from that one. And Marcio slowed down by Caxstomp, jumping over, but Caxstomp going to jump immediately back over. Immediately turned on, pulled in by the ultimate, crushing wave from Lyris, and Caxstomp going to fall.
Oh, Marcio absolutely knew that. That was a play. He knew if he jumped, he would chase, and he did. And as soon as he did, he turned and ulted. Beautiful. And then Caxstomp was in so much trouble. And Pertuzzi falls. Beautiful play by Santa Cruz and Marcio in specific.
That shit comes down to, how long it takes an Odin to jump. It feels like eternity before you actually land on down to him. And with that Suku jump, goes a little quicker. Immediately 180 to be able to get that ultimate off. Marcio has that heads-up play on the Wheelish, and now the red buff getting stolen by Santa Cruz, and Uki behind tier 2 tower picks up Conceited Code.
Yeah, and he really needs to back. If Pertuzzi can get there, he can't. And luckily, Uki gets to back. He chased him forever, I guess. I was looking at the fight over in the left, and I mean, a good solo by Uki. I said he was a team player, and what's more of a team player move than getting a solo kill?
Ooh, Marcio getting low by the Portal Demon. He's going to have to go back to his speed buff. Caxstomp jumps on the bottom of Matthew. Takes a good chunk from the Bird Bomb, but Matthew does have that Devourer's Gauntlets. He's got to be able to heal up, as well as a Marcio who picks up his speed buff.
Yeah, and that speed buff heals him up a little bit, so he's not in any danger, but he does still have to back because he didn't have much health. He wasn't going to do anything with the amount of health that he had. Gets that speed buff and go back to base. Pick up another bit of an item and keep on trucking because he's doing a good job so far.
Well, speed buff's the next target for the two teams. Uki Not able to seal that one away with the axe toss. The torrent, not enough, and may have sealed his fate with that one, but double knockup from Lyris. So good to get them out. Now he's trapped inside the cage with 3 members. Dharmic Pillars comes through, but Lyris is stuck in through it. Gets stunned out by Petrucci, taking a lot of damage. Has to crushing wave out away. The dragon getting low. The dragon's still alive. I'm a monster, not going to connect. Raihez trying to find a path in, and so is Omarcio waiting for the shot. Not going to land a knockup, but going to get the double shot through. But Caxitum, bird bomb in. Uki, the first to spill.
Yeah, and that was a long fight, and a lot happened. And unfortunately, Uki, they're just the one that goes. That was a lot of aggression from Santa Cruz, but probably a little over-aggressive. Maybe got caught out and ended up losing their solo laner.
Well, Lyra's still alive through the thick of it all. Somehow able to make it outside of the cage. Put out some damage and keep himself alive, but now Caxum jumped into place into the mid lane, and you can't make that mistake around this many members of Santa Cruz. They're going to pick him up. 4 kills now for Lyris.
Yeah, and that was a good job by Kansas, and then they just, gave a kill right back to them. That Odin getting in deep and falling, that's really unfortunate. You don't want to see that.
Butterman Matthew now level up on the Hoppin to get the knockup. A couple shots of the bolts to go through, but Hoppin does have that leap. He's going to be able to get out of danger. On the right side, Prezified finds Raihez best up at his speed buff, and now they're on retreat just because Uki's making the rotation through.
Yeah, that's, that's a good idea. Get them in their jungle, and that's really what's important is, you cut off their escapes, you cut off where they are, and it really becomes difficult to deal with if you just show up when they're not expecting you, and that sometimes is the most important thing, just the element of surprise.
Well, Lyris dropping down that Sentry Ward, but on the bottom side, it's all Omarcio trying to steal the red buff, but he's not going to get. He's met onto the backside. Petrucci, the sun's rained down. Omarcio doesn't have a way to get out of this one. Just trying to throw out the autos. Gets the feather step, but Prezi, one more auto attack needed. Takes down Omarcio, but Buttermy Matthew makes the rotation in, picks up Prezi in return, and Lyris just getting back under his tower because Conceded Code is here.
Yeah, now Uki's made the rotation, so has to back up, but Lyris does need to be careful if they go on him.
Double stun comes through, but onto 2 different targets. Ricochet hits Lyris. The Dragon Breath lands onto Uki, but all members just going to go ahead and back up. Bumba's Mask is on Lyris. He's going to get a little bit of health back from that jungle buff. Picks up Red Camp for himself, so he's going to have a little bit. And it is the Warlock Sash onto the Hobwa.
And I do like that. It's going to give him some survivability. He's already stacked it pretty well. He's got those 4 kills. It's going to make him very difficult to deal with because of all that extra health and because of the magical power is going to make him hit quite hard. So if you feel like you can get that stacked up, which he obviously did, I like that pickup.
I mean, I love the Warlock Sash, but like you said, in a time where you feel that you can get it because of that extra HP it provides, it kind of deters gods like Serket from being picked up if you go for it, because her ultimate's true damage, but at the same time, her passive is percentage. So when you're dealing with a lot of low base damage gods, I mean, it's not too bad of a pickup.
Yeah, and that's the exact thing is, having a tanky mid laner is so valuable because when these junglers try and dive onto them and try and do work and, just that extra couple seconds alive can make the big difference between winning a fight or losing a fight.
Especially against gods like Odin, who start falling off after that level 13. That bird bomb doesn't hit quite as hard anymore. It kind of just becomes that slow downhill trickle of Odin just doesn't deal the same kind of damage he did when the early game came through. So with that extra tankiness, he's really going to be able to survive more of these fights.
Yeah, Odin and Osiris both do fall off. So like you're saying, and I mean, really at that point, you're just looking for Scylla crushes and things like that, which can hurt. But if you have that, it might not be a one-shot, and that's major.
Wow, Hoppin has to use the Aegis from the Feather Step, and Kexum gets knocked up inside of the Dharmic Pillars, knocked up again. Crushing Wave, not going to hit from Lyris. He gets stunned out by the Dragon and hit by the Ama Monster, but it's not enough damage. He has too much HP to survive. You can see the code in the back. Now has to walk through 5 different members, and he'll be able to do so with that Lord of the Afterlife. Ult from Uki is good, as well as the Axe, but it's not good enough. Shell comes through, knock up onto 1. Lyris, not enough damage. You can see it throws the flail. Lyris gonna take the first spill of the fight.
Yeah, Lyris there, he definitely wanted to make something happen, but I think he needed to just back up. At this point, they are doing the Gold Fury though, so
wow.
I mean, they do lose their mid laner, but they win the Gold Fury, and that's pretty good. They're third of the game.
I mean, they burn that down quick, and that's kind of the strength of these objectives is as the later the game goes, they get more HP, yes, but you just get so many more items online that it doesn't even matter. You can just free lifesteal off of it, and well, Butterman Matthew, level 18 already.
Yeah, he's an absolute monster this game. Level 18, like you said, 2-0-0. So really, I mean, they do need to shut him down at some point because he's having a major impact on these team fights.
Oh, Marcio getting aggressive again, steals the blue buff away, but the rotation from his team is good. Pillars drop down, the cage as well from Caxton, but he's not able to get anything off onto it. Raihez just trying to get in, but Marcio gonna spill for his over-aggressions. Caxton coming over the rotation onto the back, stunned out by Petruzzi, but the torn from Uki is enough to get him back into the jungle, right into the Suns and into the crush. Prezified picks up the solo lane shock.
Yeah, Prezified and Hoppin were sitting there waiting, and as soon as Uki went back that way, they threw all their damage, and now they might be looking for this portal demon and gonna burn it down very fast.
You gotta be careful. Lyris is here. He's got a lot of damage on that Hotbois. The portal demon got leased. The Eye of a Monster does nothing for it, but all the while, Lyris is in the back just trying to stay alive, trying to get away from Conceited Code. Crushing wave just off the mark, not gonna find a home onto that, and Lyris gonna use his water cannon to just try and get some healing back from the jungle buff. Flail is good. Sickle not. Conceited Code misses the shot. And Buttermine Matthew just trying to run away. Gets stunned out by the Judgment Tether. Trying to get the lifesteal back through. Conceited Code not able to find Buttermine Matthew either. In Santa Cruz, they're gonna be able to walk away.
That is such a good job of them to all look out for each other. You know, at that point, Buttermine Matthew did his best to stay in, help out Lyris. Then once Lyris got out, he threw down that water carpet to allow Buttermine Matthew to get out. So a really good job by them playing as a team and looking out for each other. That was a wonderful team fight.
Mid camps will go over towards UC Santa Cruz, and the big factor in these games is keeping Lyris alive. He's got that Obsidian Shard going towards the fourth item, Rada Tahuti, where in seasons and splits past, we'd say is a little strange, but everybody really favoring that massive power spike you get from it. You don't get the passive benefit quite yet, but 125 power, I mean, I'm not going to say no to that.
Yeah, and hitting hard is exactly what you want to do. And if you have some pen online, going for those big damaging abilities really helps. And that's sort of what the logic on that is getting as much damage early as you can, right? That's all that it comes down to is mid laners want to do damage.
Oh, especially a Hotbois, who he wants to do the most damage. You can see the code. He's taking a massive chunk through. Blink from Omarcio. Not going to find anything onto that. Rooted out by Prezified. Petruzzi has to jump away from the team. And now 5 members of Santa Cruz pushing into the Tier 1 tower. And they're going to drop that very quick.
Yeah, that's what this Santa Cruz team needs to do, is to look to push aggressively, get some objectives, and really grow this lead. They do have about a 6,000 gold lead, but that's sort of a stagnant 6.
Blink in, the cage drops as well as the Suns. Phantom popped as well to try and get Lyris out, but Petruzzi, he's too aggressive. He's in the front and he is gone. Conceited Code, the next to fall to Buttermine Matthew. Ultimate from Shock, gonna do a lot of damage, but Uki pressing forward, hopping early beads, early Aegis, but Prezified Sikkim was clutch, stunning out 3 members under the tower.
And I gave the credit to Santa Cruz when they peeled for their teammates. That was the same thing you saw out of Kansas there. Prezified taking care of his teammates, everyone looking out for each other on their way out.
Prezified, if those Sikkim start hitting late game with Crush to follow afterward, that's going to be dead squishies. Even Lyris is going to be taking a little too much to deal with that one. But now has that Rada Tahuti, fully stacked Warlocks, and a Tier 1 and right gone. Nothing left in the mid lane but the Bird. UC Santa Cruz, they're just going to go back and spend their gold.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do. I mean, gold in hand doesn't help you at all. You got to get that. You got to buy items with that. Once you get those items, it's important.
Fafnir loves to keep that gold in hand, but at the same time, you're like, it's 1,000 gold. I could buy an item. I lose some protection.
Yeah, and generally, trust me, the passive on items and the stats other than protections are generally worth it, even for Fafnir. Although he does quite like having some in gold in hand, I will admit.
Hoppin likes having some HP, but Buttermine Matthew's not going to allow him to be happy for that one. Now with the Gold Fury spawning, having the Hunter go back, who has the damage from the Suns, They don't want to do that. Kansas now realizing that Gold Fury's coming up. They're going to stay in, but Butterman Matthew already chunking it down. It's already almost half HP just from a few autos.
Yeah, he hits so hard. And, the big crit damage, when he gets those crits, he can do a lot in a short amount of time.
Well, he's doing a lot of damage back to Caxitom. Lyris made the rotation in. He's got the damage, holding on to that Crushing Wave. Cage drops down, so do the Suns. Crushing Wave slams into Hoppin, but he is erased by the damage of the Hunter. Caxitom has to back off. Prezified's here. The Crush doesn't connect, but now he has to back away as well. They get a quick pick onto Lyris, but they hold off the Gold Fury.
Yeah, that is important, is preventing those objectives from going down. And I mean, you do get the kill as well, so there's something there on the side of Kansas. At some point here, Kansas does need to get an objective.
Oh, that was the most unfortunate spot for Omarcio. Got the feather step, but because he was up against the wall, ended up just flipping in place. And UC Santa Cruz, they get a sneaky Gold Fury through. Conceded Code knocked up, taken down. Lord of the Afterlife just barely getting him out for the time, but Butterman Matthew gonna continue the chase forward. Caxitom knocked up, hit by the feather step, waiting to go through just so low. An airstrike from Butters will be enough. Hoppin now taking a little too much damage, gonna be knocked up out of the Aegis, and Buttermine Matthew with the double kill.
And now they can keep going at this point. You know, with those two people down, you could look for the Fire Giant. Lyris is spawning and going right that way, so it wouldn't surprise me to see them push onto this Fire Giant. I don't think you can contest too hard as Kansas. You could look for a steal, but you don't want to get ending up in a team fight here.
Well, Lyris just going to go ahead and drop the speed buff while the rest of the team moves forward. And Raiha is going to be the first one to start off that Fire Giant. Uki throwing down the axe as well as the rain to get the CC going for his team. Fire Giant now picked back up by Buttermine Matthew. Conceded Code trying to push forward. Stun from Petruzzi. Sick'em. Crush going to take down Raiha's best. A quick pick onto the support. But now Lyris is here, pumping out the damage with the Water Hands onto Conceded Code. Doing quite a chunk now. Has that second tier towards another penetration item for himself. But Conceded Code, he gets caught out trying to run the wrong way. Omarcio picks up that one.
Yeah, and you're tanky in the early game, but once that Jingwei, once those hunters start coming online with penetration and crit, you disappear just as quickly as everybody else does.
And Buttermine Matthew, top damage in the game now. 25,000 onto the Hunter player. And Caxitom just trying to make a route into the Fire Giant. His on-kill is going to pop as well as his Wing Blade. Not going to have any way of getting in. Fire Giant leash. Buttermine Matthew down to half. He has no way out of the cage. Petruzzi not going to get the first stun. And Lyris from the back. Crushing Wave's going to take down the Dragon. Knock up might be enough to take down Caxitom. But Omarcio turns towards the carry. Drops him. Hoppin now turned on. Hoppin taken down. 4 for none. Swing for UC Santa Cruz.
And this has got to be the Fire Giant here. This is major for them. They won that fight, did a fantastic job. You're going to see the Fire Giant. You're going to see the Portal Demon, a back and a buy. And then I think they're going to look to push into these towers.
Now, right lane still has its tier 2. Left lane has both of its towers up. Both prime pickings for the UC Santa Cruz squad. They now lead 13,000 in gold over Kansas, and now starting to get to that point where Scylla might not be enough to save you. Prezified's 5 levels down.
Yeah, and that's really tough. And because of that 5 levels down, Book of Thoth isn't even stacked yet. So anytime that Scylla steps out of position, Lyris or Buttermine Matthew are going to hit him and do a lot of damage. Could completely wipe you off the map before you can get any damage off.
Well, Spear of Desolation is going to be the pickup for Lyris. Add another 80 power to his build. I'm just going to take a look at him just to see. He's sitting at 613 magic power thanks to that Fire Giant buff and that Rod of Tahuti providing that extra power for him. Now with that right side tier 2 down, only the bird remains in their way. Kansas, they know that's going to be the target. They're grouping up. So far in the fight, hasn't started up just yet.
Yeah, Odin's in middle lane still. He does have to come over and look, but this could be a big fight here.
Raiha's best going to throw out the Dharmic Pillars. Cage into the back onto 3 members. The knockup's going to be good. Caxitom gets pulled in, but he's going to have to beat and jump away. Prezified knocked up. I'm a monster. Not enough, but the dot will. Lyris going to fall to the Kansas squad, and now with their big damage dealer out, UC Santa Cruz, they're going to have to back away. They don't want to go for this bird now.
If I was Santa Cruz at this point, I would go back, go into that left lane and push those towers down, wait for Lyris to come back. There's no point in trying to siege a Phoenix. You can go, you can push a tower, if they want to come and fight you, you still could potentially fight in a 4v5 if you get the right positioning. It is something they have to consider. A 4v5 is a risky fight at this point, but you do have Fire Giant and you do have a big gold lead. It is something that they can consider doing at this point.
Especially since Conceited and Caxton both have their ults up now. They're back online for them. Only Uki for the side of Santa Cruz has his, but Conceited Code taking a bit of poke damage from UC Santa Cruz with the ult advantage in favor of Kansas. Well, now with Raihez getting his Dharmic Pillars back online, makes it a little bit even for the teams, even in a 4v5, as they're looking to push down into the tower. Well, Matthew throwing out the autos. Bird Bomb from Caxton, but immediately pulled in by Omarcio. Into the back goes Conceited Code, but into the grave he will return. Petruzzi has to walk through the Dharmic Pillars to get out. Buttermy Matthew gets one. Omarcio with the double. Hopping down. Double for Buttermy Matthew. Make that a triple and the deicide.
And that's absolutely game. They don't even need this left lane. They can just walk in, take any Phoenix on the map. They're here, might as well grab them, but this is game over. They have 20 seconds before anyone respawns, and I think they'll be able to completely shred through this Phoenix and onto the Titan. Not even going to need to. The F6 comes out.
Yeah, Kansas realizing that they're a little too far gone at that point. Almost 18,000 gold separated the two teams from it. At that point, it's a little hard to continue forward. I mean, your carries got bursted in an instant. Your tanks were getting shredded down. It's just too hard to fight into the Santa Cruz squad this late.
Yeah, absolutely. At that point, they were just too big. And I mean, a big part of that was Lyris. They were getting kills on him, but he was getting off so much damage. And because there was so much focus on him, Buttermy Matthew was allowed basically free reign. Like I said earlier, because he has that Warlock Sash, it requires so much to kill him. Well, because so much was expended anytime they tried to kill Lyris, there was just simply not enough damage left over to also get Buttermy Matthew. And that's why he never died, and he ended up 8-0-6, doing so much damage in those fights.
35,000 for the Hunter, more than anybody even remotely close into the game. Lyris the closest on his team. Conceited Co in the solo lane and Hoppin the next closest try and get that, but it came down to too much damage from Santa Cruz, not enough from Kansas, and Prezified, while he has some fantastic sickums, catching 3 members under tower to peel for his team, his I'm a Monsters never got the reset. He almost got Lyris at the end there, but he was about a quarter of a second away from it, didn't get that reset. They got the kill, but that's all they could get because he could never get the big damage on.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. That's the biggest issue is they just didn't get enough damage coming out here. They had the utility, they had the right comp, but just being so far behind, Kansas never had the damage they needed to bring down this Santa Cruz lineup.
Well, we'll see if Kansas can make a bounce back in game number 2. We're going to cut it to a brief break, so grab some drinks, grab some popcorn. We will be back to see if Kansas can take us to game 3, or if Omarcio and the boys of Santa Cruz will lock in their second seed with the 2-0 victory.
You're a superstar and you don't need a golden crown. 'Cause You're the superstar and you don't need a golden crown. 'Cause everybody needs a hero now. And when the weight is like £1,000,000, I'll stand behind you. 'Cause you're a superstar, a superstar. 'Cause you're a superstar, a superstar. You're a superstar.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back from our short break. We are returning with game number 2. UC Santa Cruz up 1-0 over University of Kansas. My name is J Mac Tucker, and to finish out the night with me, Emu going to be joining me for this exciting set.
Yeah, and that was a good first game that we saw. Really close until just near the end. UC Santa Cruz really took it to them, really started to pull ahead. And I want to see if maybe we can see the opposite result here.
Well, we already have the first respect band game up, or respect band of the set going through. Jing Wei taken away from Buttermy Matthew. They do not want to deal with the Bird Girl at all.
Yeah, he had a very strong game on that character. Never died once. It only makes sense. Get rid of it. He looked great on it. Let's see what else you got. The thing is with hunters, most of them are sort of interchangeable. They all do roughly the same thing. I know all the hunter players are going to yell at me for that, but if you can play one, you can play pretty much all of them. And so we'll see just how much that actually does affect him.
I mean, apparently people can't play a Muzen Cobb because he autos from the left side as opposed to the right like every other hunter, or from the center. Honestly, I think his left-handed autos make it easier to hit for some reason, but well, that's another argument for another day. Is Marcio going to lock in the Ganesh for his squad, getting themselves the
Yeah.
elephant again? Right. I mean, Right has just did too well on that not to pick it.
Yeah, I mean, Ganesh is so strong. If he's available, I see no reason ever to not pick him, short of someone else just being better. And there's not many gods in the game right now that are better than Ganesh. So I really like it. On the flip side, the Ratatosker, so going very different from the Odin that we saw last game.
Yeah, a similar concept. You want to get in, do your damage quick, and then hope your carries follow up with it. But Ratatusker able to do that a little bit better on his own, as opposed to, the Odin waiting towards late game. And now they're going to lock in that Carnonos, get a strong hunter for themselves early.
Yeah, and the Ratatosker with that global is going to be a little bit different. He's going to be able to engage on lanes that you don't really see him coming. He just sort of comes down from the sky. So something to keep in mind. Carnonos here is a little different. I am a little surprised they didn't go into the Hoi or the Hachiman, who has not been picked yet in this matchup.
Yeah, I guess both of these teams just don't want to play the Hachiman this time around. And Lyris, well, he was from one water god to another Poseidon to lock in this time. And we saw what Lyris could do week number 1 with this god. We'll see if it can hold up true in this same game.
Yeah, and there is a really good synergy between Poseidon and that Ganesha. The cripple inside that Ganesha ult makes it very difficult. Izanami being hovered, so maybe not the Hachiman, but the Izanami with those buffs seeing a lot of play, and Buttermy Matthew wants to give it a try.
Yeah, between these two hunters and then you throw in the Jingwei and Ho Yi, I mean, these are kind of the round out top 4 hunters that we're probably going to be seeing a lot of come the gauntlet and even the final championship weekend. So expect to see these guys come out a lot. I mean, Izanami. I enjoyed Izanami before. I always felt that whenever I played her, she's just too slow. It takes too long to get the damage out. Now that those numbers have been tuned, she seems a lot more solid.
Yeah, that was always the issue, and I'm sure everyone had that, and everyone said, "Well, if you just reduce the dash," and they did, and now she's very strong. I know a lot of hunter players. All my friends that play ADC, they say they love her again. They want to play her every single game. So clearly, Buttermy Matthew has a similar feeling and picking it up here.
Yeah, Raw going to be locked in for the side of Kansas, and with the bans coming through, Odin, the first one banned away. Kakstam not giving that one up. Geb and Fafnir taken away. 2 more support bans for UC Santa Cruz. And Kamazot's taken away. Knowing what Omarcio has done on the bat in the past, they're not going to give it over to him.
Yeah, and Amarcio really is the type of player that likes to do a lot of damage, so taking away Kamazot's is a good decision. I do like the idea of maybe a tankier lineup on that left side on this blue team, so it wouldn't surprise me to see them go with something really big and tanky.
Well, I think Cirquette's quite the opposite of big and tanky as they're looking to lock that in for the jungle role, potentially for Omarcio. And Xing Chen over on the right-hand side, Kansas picking up themselves a good frontliner. Kansas plays support. We have seen Kalas from EU be able to play this god to a pretty high success, but might be going over to that solo lane and potentially up against a Matarasu.
Yeah, I actually really like Xingtian in the support role. I would like to see this go to the support role and have something a little tankier and a little more aggressive. Maybe the Osiris again. It is very difficult to play Amaterasu in any sort of one of those matchups. If you can get that dash out, you can absolutely stun her and kill her. So Ravana there being another option, I think you're going to see that Jingtian get flexed into the support role.
Yeah, I think we will be seeing it this time with the Robin lock through. Very unlikely that that one's going to go anywhere but the solo lane, especially with a Ratatosker. We've seen had a little cheeky mix-up where we had the Rat solo, but it was followed up by another assassin into the jungle role for it this time. So Jingtian going over to Petruzzi this time around. And I mean, the story through, though, is Rai has got his Ganesh again.
Yeah, and that's absolutely going to be beneficial. That god is so strong, and if you can play it and you can play it well, it's a complete impact it can have on a team fight.
I mean, Ganesh is just such a powerful god. We've seen him really be the deciding factor for a lot of teams, especially who's the team that I'm thinking of with it? It's not Alabama, I think, with Fahrenheit, SAT, and the boys. I mean, they really favor that Ganesh. If they can get it, they usually do fairly well onto it. We're gonna take a very quick break. We'll be back in just a few moments with the game number 2 of UC Santa Cruz and University of Kansas.
I'm so alone, nothing feels like home. I'm so alone, trying to find my way back home to you.
Welcome back, everybody. Game number 2. UC Santa Cruz up 1-0 to Kansas, looking to try and shut out this set. And again, these two are fighting for a crucial spot. They're looking for second seed and, most importantly, second round of the gauntlet, trying to skip out on that first match.
Yeah, and everyone loves playing Smite, but no one wants to play that many games of Smite in one day, that many potential, loser go home matches. So getting the second place finish will be incredibly helpful and make your day a little bit easier in the gauntlet.
Well, they're trying to put some pressure into Uki. As we all know, Amaterasu, not the best of early game goddesses. Takes a little while to get that clear online, where someone like Robin going to be very quick, very aggressive, and try and be the big bully for the team. But we see jungle in the mid lane for UC Santa Cruz. Petruzzi rotates over to help out Prezi.
Yeah, and there you go. You have the jungler, the Ratatosker in that right lane, so even more pressure being put onto Amaterasu. It's going to make her life very, very difficult, at least for a couple levels here.
And Hoppin tried to start up onto his bus, but they're going to be invaded by UC Santa Cruz. Raihez and Buttermine Matthew going to be able to steal that red buff away from Hoppin. They hit level 2, but he was able to get a back camp to try and mitigate some of the XP loss onto it. Now trying to save it, but Raihez dashes forward, still has that Turn of Fate available, but Petruzzi makes the rotation over along with Prezified. A lot of priority just to try and steal this buff, but it will go the way over of Kansas. Now Prezified sitting half HP. Oh, Marcio making the rotation in, gets the taunt with the Cobra's Kiss, but he's going to miss the Death Bane. But it doesn't matter. One in hand is all it takes for Marcio to drop first blood on the Prezified.
Yeah, and that's really just an unfortunate thing. That is a big thing into Uki being alone over there in that lane. Yes, he is going to lose his buff. Yes, that sucks. But his team is going to make it work without him. Once again, we said it the last time, taking one for the team, and that's what he's doing here. It's unfortunate. I'm sure he's not going to have the most fun that he could possibly have without that blue buff, but his team's doing well, so I'm sure he's not going to complain too much.
But to be fair, he is Amaterasu. He's knowingly going to have to take a long time to get online to really become the relevant factor for his team. So if he's got to take the knee early on just to help get the rest of his team ahead, he is more than fine with that.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Amaterasu is a team god. You see a lot of team first solo laners. I know Dimmy absolutely loved that god when he was playing. Guys that want to help their team more than, style on you and get their own individual stats up, generally love Amaterasu. And, Uki, that's what he's playing. So clearly we know what he wants to do.
The same can really ring true for Nike as well. I know players like Osath used to love running that goddess in solo, just because Osath was a guy who never really wanted to win lane, but he never really lost the lane either. He was just kind of, I'm going to sit here for 25 minutes, and then when that point hits, I'm going to help carry my team to victory. And Amaterasu's kind of the same instance. You just kind of wait for those auras to come online.
Yeah, exactly. And once you do show up, it's so valuable. You know, you can show up to objectives and help out and do things that other solo laners just simply can't do. And so there is a benefit, but she is a little tricky to play because of her weak early game.
Yeah, early game very weak, especially against Arava. But mid lane, they're looking for Caxitom. Gonna get the quick beads out, so Kraken not gonna be on the mark for Lyris, but they get the beads. They are happy with that.
Yeah, I think at that point you can be happy with that decision. If he had stayed in, that was probably a kill. And you know, a Kraken in hand doesn't help you, so get the Kraken out. And now Lyris in trouble.
Seeded Code gonna dunk down for the kill onto Lyris, and now poor little Raihez stuck away, can't get to his tower. Petruzzi gonna pick that kill up. Now 2-1 leads the scoreboard for Kansas. They're gonna go ahead and grab the elementals as well, just to add insult to injury.
Yeah, and that's what you need to do when you have that Amaterasu that can't really rotate, can't really fight that well. Might as well just do these things. Now you're going to look to steal away the speed buffs, probably steal away the blue buff. This is all that they need to do right now.
Marcio doesn't want to let it go, but he's going to have to. Ultimate from Petruzzi's only going to pick up Uki, but he has no mana. He has to use that horrific, but the rotation from Lyris is here, slowing them all down with that Whirlpool. We're going to force all 4 members back.
And that was a great job by Santa Cruz to help out their own teammates. Amarzio and Uki were very close to dying. Both of them very well could have, but neither one does, and that's what's important. Not getting those kills is going to be huge for Santa Cruz, and really unfortunate for Kansas, who, despite the kill lead, are slightly behind in gold.
That's just going to come down to the farming and really just the level difference here. But Prezified still level 4, just now hits level 5 at just over 4.5 minutes into the game, so he's starting to fall behind. Butterby Matthews picked up a 1-level lead onto Hoppin, so it's just the farm game that UC Santa Cruz is really taking advantage of.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a big part of it is, you know, we do talk about how aggressive these AVGL games are, but we don't talk about how much the farming can impact that. And Butterby Matthew, they're just barely getting out with that dash, and Caxitum can't really do a whole lot once he was out of the way. You know, very aggressive, a lot of fights in a lot of these AVGL games, but we don't talk about how beautiful the farming is. And yes, they do fight, but it's generally over objectives, and it's generally over, you know, getting that farm. Farming is so important in this game.
They really want Prezi, but the rest of his team is there to keep them out. Lyris unable to find a home, unable to try and throw that Kraken out, as everybody is just getting away from him for the time. But now back into the mid lane will go UC Santa Cruz, just continue farming it up there. Unable to find that kill on the Raw, a bit unfortunate, but they'll take it.
Yeah, this is, you know, you deal with what you can get. Sometimes you get the kill, sometimes you don't, but it's the effort that counts. Occasionally that's going to work, and you know, you just have to make sure it doesn't cost you too much farm.
Yeah, well, they're going to go ahead and drop the red buff, drop the back camp as well, and Petruzzi getting chased out by 2 members of UC Santa Cruz. Duo lane starting to really build up that lead for themselves now. Butterby Matthew 2 levels up, now level 9 on the Izanami, and that's really the pressure that she offers, is she doesn't require those abilities to clear the wave. She can just do it with her own boomerang autos.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And so it's going to allow for a lot of aggression, and you're seeing that. You're seeing the quick lane clear and then going and getting those buffs. So a great job by Butterby Matthew, and if he can stay this up, he can keep this up, he's going to be in a good position.
He's going to go ahead, go back to base, look towards maybe building that Devourer's Gauntlet of his own. And once again, we're kind of seeing that story of, well, do I start Devos or do I start Boots? And, well, once again, UC Santa Cruz this time, they're going to go ahead, grab the Boots, then Devo.
Yeah, and Hoppin's done the exact opposite, going for the Devos first. And I think that's just because he thought that he would have a little bit of a less impactful early game. So, you know, he thinks he's strong enough to survive it. Might as well get those stacks online. It does help you later on.
Well, to the left-hand side, Butterby Matthew gets the dash off, going to be able to get away from the Wild Hunt. And what we joked about earlier, but again, if this was old Iza, that would have been a transformation. He would have been polymorphed, and that possibly could have been his death for it, but he's going to be able to get away, no problem.
Yeah, it very well might have been his death. 100% would have been his beads if not. And so just that little quicker release, players aren't used to it.
Well, getting into the 7.5-minute mark, we're only got 3 kills so far for the game. Again,
Butterman Matthew in so much trouble in the left, though.
Oh, Kaxam dunks down in with through the Cosmos. Gonna be able to find a quick pick, but Marcio looking for one of his own. Has that speed buff. Heavenly Pop. Gonna drop hopping into the Dharmic Pillars and now towards the minions. He doesn't have enough to sustain through that one, and Lyris gonna pick up the 2nd kill for UC Santa Cruz. Now for Shruzy having to jump away, but Omarcio still waiting in the wings. Looking like he might want to go on to Prezify, but he's gonna opt towards the buff instead.
Yeah, that was just the loop-de-loop and pull there from Caxatum, Butterman Matthew thought, well, they just ganked me. They're not going to do it again. And what do? They gank him again. Sometimes that works, the old loop-de-loop and pull, and it paid off big there, getting the kill onto Butterman Matthew. However, Hoppin also fell to the counter gank.
Always expect the unexpected, and you'll never be ganked because they're not going to gank me at a minute and a half under my tier 2 tower, and they're not going to land that Kraken onto Caxatom either. Knocked up by Raihez, but he's not going to be able to get out from now when Omarcio picks him up. Truzy only throws Raihez into the back, but he's going to have enough, and the Whirlpool from Lyris snipe just off the mark from Prezzified. Everyone from Santa Cruz, they're going to walk out.
Yeah, and that was a 50-50 guess there from Prezzified. Is he going to go towards the tower or go towards the jungle? He guessed tower. Raihez went jungle. Nothing you can do about that. You have to make a decision, and with a raw ult, it's always a bit of a guess.
Well, hitting 9 minutes. Portal Demon will be set to spawn here in just a few seconds as well. No attempts towards the Gold Fury this time around from either of these teams, despite the early advantage that they picked up in duo lane.
Yeah, that is a little surprising to not see anyone go for that Gold Fury. Although both teams have had it, a lot of vision on that, and obviously we're seeing the oracles. There is a ward from the Santa Cruz side, so both teams definitely it's on their mind. Just no one has committed to it yet. No one has a big enough lead to really go for it.
I think no one really wants to expend the ultimate for it, especially from the mid mages. Right now is kind of hitting that critical moment for them where they got that 2nd point in their ultimate. It's going to start hitting pretty hard, and Raihez, he's getting hit in the face by the side of Kansas. Already down to half HP, already gone. The Dharmic Pillar's not going to save him from the dash from Caxitom.
Yeah, and Uki in the right lane taking a lot there. He's just really struggling. Conceded Code having a much better game. Has him down 2 levels.
I mean, that's just what happens with the Amaterasu. She doesn't have an easy farm early on. She's just trying to power through this early mid game. Once that late game hits, levels aren't going to be as crucial as long as he's got that aura going through. Conceded trying to steal the speed buff, but Lyris will secure that one. Taunted in is Petruzzi. Oh, comes the dazzling offense. Zuki picks up one, but Prezzi with the snipe onto a Marcio. And last breath poison going to be enough to take down the tanky solo laner.
And Uki just going to barely walk out of there with that speed buff. Face tank that raw ult. Trying to dash after, and that raw ult hit her right in the face. Almost killed Uki, but luckily, with those tank boots, will definitely help. That might have saved the life there of that solo laner.
Yeah, dot damage that comes through for the... Well, not really a lot of dot damage, but the spin to win from Caxatom is more than enough to start building up the stacks onto it. And now, because of the fight, Gold Fury is open. Prezzified's rotating through. They're going to go ahead and leash it. But Prezzified, I mean, he's not really in a position to steal this away. He's just kind of passing through and making sure they don't go for it.
Yeah, there is a lot of team dot damage with the spin from Caxatum, the raw heal, Patrizzi on the Jing Tian's 1, Hoppin with that Bramble Blast. So there is a lot, not in that lane necessarily, but overall in this team. So I actually do really like these boots. It is an interesting thing. You don't see it a whole lot, but it definitely will pay off in this matchup, I believe.
No, I don't think we've seen tank boots on a solo laner in probably ever, at least here in AVGL. Maybe in your ranked casual assault games you might have seen them, but Gold Fury started up by Kansas. It's down to half HP. The rest of the team is here. Matthew gonna throw out the Spectral Projection. Wild Hunt dropped down, but no one's gonna get hit by it. The ultimate's gonna be enough to take down the Gold Fury. Now Butterman Matthew has to sprint away, gets the Aegis to immune the damage from the ultimate spin. Washing Machine only gets Raihez, and the Kraken finds 2 from Lyris. Looking for a third on the Conceded Code. He's got the damage from the Blast Breath, slamming him down. Uki's gonna throw out the shield. Conceded Code's gonna drop and it's got to be 3 kills for Santa Cruz.
And Uki with that speed buff doing so much work so fast, rotating in and chasing everyone down. Uki, a great job by him, a great job by Lyris on that Kraken. You know, that absolutely is what won them that fight, was just that huge Kraken there.
You thought Speed or Amaterasu was fast. Throw the speed buff onto that one, and Uki is just zooming across the map.
Yeah, exactly. He was, you know, in fairness, he was out of position. He got rotated, out-rotated. But with the amount of speed that he had, he wasn't out-rotated for long. Ended up in the back of that fight and did a bunch of work with that dazzling offense onto Hoppin.
Marcio is going to be able to find that speed buff, stealing that away from Kextamu. I thought he may have gotten in there quick enough with the dash, but not going to find the home onto it. And now the blue buff going to drop as well. The team of Santa Cruz, they got the buffs. They're just going to go ahead, back off, and will allow Butterman Matthew to push down this tier 1 tower.
Yeah, that's anytime he can get some there, he's going to back off. He doesn't want to mess around too much, afraid of people showing up and killing him. So just take a step back and not worry too much over there.
Well, both relics still down from Butterman Matthew, but the fight breaks out in the mid. Lyris, no ultimate. Dharmic Pillars not going to be enough to save him. A snipe just for good measure, just in case. Raya is thrown into the back, hit with 2 ults from the team, but he's not going to be able to fall just yet. Dazzling offense slams down onto 2, but there's no follow-up from it.
Yeah, and now Raihez is the one in trouble. They just have to, you know, get him out of there at this point. You're not going to win this fight, but let's try and lose it as gracefully as possible.
Going to be able to use that horrific emblem just to get the rest of the team out. Uki and Marcio going to try and defend this tier 1, but they're staring down 5 people from Kansas. Butterman Matthew try to make the rotation in. Uki knocked up, rooted in place twice, and shot down by the beam from Prezified. Uki gonna take a spill, and Butterman Matthew, he's not gonna be able to save the tower.
Yeah, I think you have to leave. Like, that's what I was saying about losing gracefully. You know what? Maybe you had to give up that tower. This way you lost your solo laner and your tower. That's not a great trade.
No, losing them both. Losing one is fine, but losing them both not gonna be the most beneficial for you onto that one. And, well, blue buff gonna drop. Raihez gonna pick that one up since Uki can't quite do it at the time. And we're gonna try and defend this tier 1 tower, keep the minions from getting out. And Marcio and Raihez, they'll be successful on their defense.
Yeah, I do want to go back to the tank boots on Amaterasu. I have very rarely seen tank boots on Amaterasu, but I do remember Zalia in Season 3 loved tank boots on Vamana. His argument was, you don't need the power to clear the wave. So he would often get that. Amaterasu has no trouble clearing the wave, so especially with the power aura, it could be a really good idea to just get some extra tank into your build, and you don't need the power.
Not only that, 20% crowd control reduction is nothing to scoff at, especially with a somewhat decent CC team. A lot of powerful slows more than anything come out. The less time that you're rooted, the better. You can't really stop the Xing Qian ult, but the amount of roots that comes out from it, minimizing that by 20% is pretty powerful.
Exactly. There's a lot of benefits to them. You just generally don't see them because most solo laners want to fight, want to have that extra power to do a little more damage. But Uki, like I've been saying a million times, a team-first guy. He doesn't care about getting the kill himself. He cares about helping his team out. And, I mean, fortunately, when you play like that, you do end up with 3 kills sometimes.
And Petruzzi walked into mid lane. Marcio gets the Madness Taunt with the Cobra's Kiss and immediately followed up by the Kraken from Lyris. Perfect communication from the UC Santa Cruz boys. Bramble Blast going to be thrown out to try and stop the assault, but the tier 1 tower, there's no saving it.
Yeah, that's definitely getting dropped here. You got their support. Now you're going to take down their mid lane tower, and now you could be looking to take a fight.
Dazzling offense, not going to find a home with the stun, but Conceded Code, he can't get away. Has to use the Mystic Rush to get over the Dharmic Pillars. Nuki going to pop his Thorns. He's going to deter Caxstone from jumping down into 4. So, everybody going to be able to walk away.
Yeah, and I think they're going to make a push to this right lane here. I think you can get most of this tier 1 tower, if not the whole thing, in right lane. You know, there's minions there. You have Circuit around. I think they need to push into that tower and see what you can get.
Well, Gold Fury is set to spawn here in a second, but Matthew wants to get this one for himself as Kansas were able to sneak the Gold Fury away last time for themselves. But Matthew's left alone on the 4. Caxstone already put him down to half HP. Prezi has the ult, but not going to like to use it. Petruzzi almost picking up Lyris, but a quick beads will get him out of the whirlwind of Rage and Steel. But Conceded Code just caught out, has the shell, last breath poison ticking down. Ult from Buttermy Matthew, and the dot, one more tick's gonna take down the tanky solo laner. And now with that, UC Santa Cruz, they're going to push forward.
Yeah, this is what they need to do. Everyone's here. This is a big team fight for them. And if they get this, they get the Gold Fury. So there's the Amaterasu dazzling offense, getting everyone stunned out, but no follow-up. So they're going to back out and just zone while Amaterasu clears up this Gold Fury.
Not only that, Buttermont Matthew he realized he wasn't needed to push forward. The rest of his team did so, and he has to sustain with the Devourer's Gauntlet, so he just stuck behind, started the objective, and Dark Pillars, maybe not needed to take it down, but just to be safe. And now with it, you see Santa Cruz, they're going to extend their gold lead up to roughly 5,000.
Yeah, and that's a big lead at this point, especially when you look at the characters they have. Amaterasu's late game, Serket's late game. Poseidon does fall off, but I mean, he's a mid lane mage. He's going to hit you hard at all stages of the game. Ganesh does well into the late, and Izanami's a hunter. You always want your hunters in the late game, so there is a lot here. To have a lead already is going to be quite big for them, and if they can continue to grow this, they're going to be pretty untouchable.
I mean, as the late game comes through, Poseidon becomes less damage, more utility, especially with that Gem of Isolation, adding another big slow to his... I mean, you thought Whirlpool was bad enough. You get stuck in it, you're pulled in. Now you're pulled in, you're slow, you're walking like maybe 2 miles an hour. I mean, there's just no escape from it.
Yeah, especially when you need to walk through the Ganesh pillars. If you're slowed by that Gem of Isolation, the second you touch that Ganesh pillar, you're slowed. Lyris gets brought down, unfortunately, but there is a big combo there that they can work with.
Caxstum jumps down onto Uki, but he's going to pop his thorns and stand inside the pillars, making sure no one really wants to go into him. He's rooted out by the Bramble Blast, but Riot has all the while just been sitting here the whole time, throws out that Turn of Fate. No one from Prezi because he used to try and take down Lyris, but they're not even going to need it. Reyes can't find his way out. Hoppin's going to pick up one. Marcio turns on a Petruzzi, but he walks back towards the minions. They get the pop through onto it. Now Last Spread spreads to 2 more members. They're going to have to back up because of it.
That was a good job to get that Serket damage off. They got a little lucky. It popped onto the minions, but once that came on, it did a lot of damage, negated that healing that Rock can bring down. So a good job by them, but Santa Cruz needs to be a little careful here.
And Uki, who was down 2 levels earlier, is now even themselves out with Conceited Cove. Portal Demon started up. Uki in the wings, waiting to try and get something for him. He's the only one here trying to stare down 4 members. It's pretty tall of a task to be able to steal this one away, but more than anything, he's just going to deter them from starting it.
Yeah, sometimes just being big and in their face, they might think, hey, let's not risk it. The worst thing is the Portal Demon getting stolen, and then the rest of that gentleman's team coming through and, taking that fight. So better safe than sorry in that situation.
Poor Lyris, I mean, he got jumped on at the jungle in that last fight. He barely had an opportunity to get his Aegis off. I thought the CC chain was strong enough to immune it, but because of that, they used the raw ult. It wasn't enough because of the Aegis. He was able to stay alive just a little bit longer, and I think that's why UC Santa Cruz came out, maybe not even, but came out at least alive in that fight.
Yeah, I would agree. They're doing such a good job at this point, especially Marcio, 6-1 and 5 on that Serket. He's really doing a good job of getting into the backline and getting out alive, and that's one of the hardest things of Serket is getting out alive afterwards.
Conceited Code taking a bit of a chunk, but he's going to be healed up by his allied mid laner. But all the while, UC Santa Cruz, they're just going to go ahead and pick up the Portal Demon, sneaking that one. Buttermine Matthew comes back. Level 16, a red buff on the Izanami, and a poison star to boot. This is starting to get a little scary for this hunter.
Yeah, that's the same thing that happened last time. Buttermine Matthew wasn't very active on the Jingwei, and then he showed up to the team fights and started having a major, major impact. And I think you're going to see him do something very similar this game, a level ahead of Kurnanos and starting to really swing hard.
Oh, but Lyris pushing down that tower. Mega caught out here. He's going to immune out through the Cosmos with his beads. And now Uki frontline against 4 members. Petrucci caught out by Raihez, but now rooted out as Lyris, hit by the slow into the face. Whirlwind of Raiden Steel's gonna pick him up because his beads are already down. Hoppin gets it with the Wild Hunt, but Buttermine Matthew picks up Petrucci. Caxstum just trying to run the last breath dot onto him. Not enough to take him down. Raihez knocks up Conceited Code, blinking to the back from him. Marcio's not gonna find Caxstum, but Buttermine Matthew, 2 kills going over his way into the fight. Trying to get the third on the Caxstum, but it's not enough. Now the Emperor's Armor starting to chunk down, starting to help out a little bit for them. Raihez gets Prezi. Uki picks up the kill onto that one. Now Hoppin left alone. He has to dash back to his Phoenix.
And the biggest thing there was, I mean, yes, Santa Cruz won that fight, but Lyris could have gotten his ultimate off. If he had hit that ult on anyone, it would have been a majorly different fight. It would have gone a lot more Santa Cruz's way. The only reason they won is because they have a gold lead, because they have the XP lead. You know, they sort of are ahead and they can do little mistakes like that. But, you know, if you're Lyris, you need to do things. You need to get that ultimate off. If you're going to fall, throw it anywhere on anybody. It's better that it's on cooldown than it's in your hand when you're dead.
Well, with that, UC Santa Cruz with the 79, almost 8,000 gold lead over Kansas. And the Gold Furies respawn. You can see Butterman Matthew, he's going straight over to it. Gonna drop those oracles for himself. And no one's on the left side of the map. The Fire Giant's too important. Nobody even thinks that Butterman Matthew would go for the solo here. But they're about to know here in about 2 seconds with the good old audio cue. And, well, there goes a free Gold Fury for Santa Cruz.
Yeah, and Uki and Raya has best do need to be a little careful that they don't get engaged upon. Sometimes you'll see teams, when they hear that Gold Fury Q, will know that they have the 5v4 and just instantly go for a fight on anyone. Not the case in this situation, but just something to be aware of is to be careful when that Gold Fury goes down.
Witchblade seeming like a little bit of an odd pickup here. I mean, with the auto attacks that Conceited Code throws out, as well as the ADC, I can kind of see it, but why the Witchblade over some of the other more favorable defensive items?
Well, that is an interesting pickup. I'm, you know, not 100% sure. It will hurt Ravana's auto attacks as well. It does have cooldown. Oh, and a big Fire Giant there by Santa Cruz.
They're going to be able to sneak that one away. Petruzzi getting a little bit too low. Last breath onto him, as well as the dazzling offensive. He's got nowhere to go. Butter my Matthew claims that one. Prezi slowed to eternity thanks to the gem of isolation from Lyris, coupled with the Trident shots. 2 quick picks for UC. 2 big kills for him, as well as the Fire Giant, and now maybe even a big tier 2 tower.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely where they're going to go. Back to the Witchblade. It does give you some health. It gives you some cooldown reduction. The attack speed on Amaterasu is good because of her hit chain and her passive, giving you extra damage on objectives. And the movement speed is just going to be really annoying to deal with on Amaterasu, as well as harming your enemies with that aura. So it is a good item. There's generally more favorable things.
Jackson dumps down, but doesn't get anybody, and the Kraken slams down, but Conceited Code with the overhead kick. He's going to get out of that one. Dharmic Pillars drop, Conceited, gonna fall. Uki getting the last in hand to take that one down. Dazzling offense into the fray, gonna catch nobody thanks to the beats from Hoppin'. And Petruzzi, he's down to half HP. The Phoenix under half HP. The Phoenix will fall to UC Santa Cruz. 5 members in. Omarcio blinks, but he's not gonna find anybody.
Yeah, and this is dangerous here. They could absolutely look to just go in. They need to heal up, so go get that tower. But once they're a little bit more healed up from this Fire Giant, they could look to end the game right now. They have a lot of damage, and there's not a lot that you can do. They could go right onto that Titan, and Amaterasu's dazzling offense, and combined with that Kraken, can really force everyone off that Titan, and you can shred it very fast.
Well, Emperor's Armor coming in big again for UC Santa Cruz. With how long they're staying under these towers and under these big Phoenix fights, that Emperor's Armor is going to reduce a lot of the damage that would go towards their front line.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting these Phoenix shots, especially a little earlier into the game, and this is a little earlier. No one's really level 20 yet at all, so you don't have... It's not late game. Late game, you can take Phoenix shots for quite a while. At this point, they still do quite a lot of damage. And Amaterasu has gone into Swiftwing, which is and Shield of Regrowth.
Yeah, I was about to say Shield of Regrowth is the one I'm looking at. That you thought Amaterasu went fast. Now she's going super fast out of the base.
Well, you know, obviously 18% movement speed on the boots, which is standard, but then 10% off of Regrowth, 10% off of Witchblade, and then 5% off of Swiftwing. So, you know, zoom, I guess. That's going to be such a difficult... And the aura of the speed on Amaterasu as well. So this is going to be absolutely devastating. If she ever wants to go anywhere, they're not going to be able to catch her.
I want to kind of wait and see if Uki goes back to base here, and I want to watch him zoom out of the base. With the 40% he gains from Swiftwing, he's going to be out the lane in like 6 seconds.
Yeah, and he's got 550 movement speed, which
oh my god,
is
he's
quite
in
a
power
lot.
stance. It's in
Yeah,
power stance. Like, as soon as he switches to speed, he's gonna have near 600.
yeah. He might not even realize he's in the wrong stance just because of how fast he is with those items.
Well, looking over towards this right-hand side, going in, dazzling offense onto the back line. Prezzi's going to get stunned down. He's going to get hit, but Lyris in the back finds Petruzzi. Now Prezzi trying to get away, but Uki's going to chase him down, gun him down. 2 kills quick for UC Santa Cruz. Make that 3 with the Kraken. Lyris getting the double kill. Conceded Code using those thorns to stay alive. Double for Uki, 1 for Omarcio, makes the deicide for UC Santa Cruz, and the 2-0 victory over University of Kansas.
And they're going to be your number 2 seed going into the gauntlet. Uki dives into that base, into that fountain. A great game by them. I love that Amaterasu build. I'm definitely going to try that out later tonight myself.
Stop.
So fast.
Look, don't feed D-Sync's ego. All he ever does with this god is build full movement speed, and he just runs across the map. He doesn't even fight people. He just builds it and runs across the map and hoping somebody might be able to catch him one day.
Well, having met D-Syncs last night, seemed like a perfectly awesome person, and if he does it, it's good enough for me. So certainly going to be something I consider, because I mean it worked for Uki there. 8-1-7 on that Amaterasu.
Next thing you know, you're going to tell me that you're going to start playing Aphrodite mid or something like that.
I love Aphrodite. I prefer Aphrodite
Stop!
support personally, but
all right, you two are like that. We've officially started the bromance now between the two of you, and with that one, like you said, UC Santa Cruz, they're gonna take 2nd seed going to the gauntlet. Kansas dropping down to 3rd seed, so they're gonna have to play in that first game matchup against Northern Arizona University, and with that. That's all we got for you guys tonight. Thank you all for coming out. Emu, where can the lovely folks at home find you?
well, go follow me on Twitter at EmuAJH. That's really all you need to know. I haven't been streaming or making YouTube videos too much lately. I'm sorry. I'm just so busy with AVGL, coming out here, casting all these great games for you. As much as I love talking about Smite and I love playing Smite, I haven't gotten enough to play Smite. I haven't played enough Smite recently, so go follow me on Twitter, and from there, I'll tell you where to find anything else I ever do.
Well, it's the man of the wise words, the analyst himself, and I've been J Mac Tucker. You can find me at _J Mac Tucker on Twitter or J Mac Tucker everywhere else on YouTube and Twitch. Typically, I'm the guy who tells your team that you're not that good, and then you prove me wrong on predictions and power ranks. But that's going to do it for us here tonight at the AVGL. You can find us at AVGL Official on Twitter for our main channel. And you can find us at AVGL_Smite for all your lovely Smite news. We will be back tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Eastern for the first round and the startup of our Gauntlet Championships. You'll see both of these teams there tomorrow. And hopefully, we'll see you too. Everyone, have a great night.